Welcome back to Real Talk the School Forgot. I'm Chris, and once again, I'm here with my guy Soren. If you listened last week, you know we laid the groundwork. The budget, the emergency fund, the saving strategy, basically the foundation you need before you ever have to make any major financial decisions. But today, we're taking that foundation and building an actual structure on top of it. We're peeling back the curtain on how money actually works. Not the TikTok version, not the confusing textbook version, but the real world mechanics that dictate why some people stay stuck and others move ahead.
Exactly, Chris. And to make it simple, we've broken it down to what we call the big three: cash flow, protection, and wealth building. These three elements are like engines running under the hood of your financial life. If you get them right early, you set yourself up for decades of stability and growth. So today, we're walking through each one: what it is, how it works, why it matters, and what steps you can take right now to master it. Let's kick it off with cash flow. And honestly, this piece is, most people misunderstand the most. Cash flow isn't just about budgeting, it's understanding the relationship between income you bring in and the expenses going out, then creating a gap, a margin that you control. When you have positive cash flow, you have choices. You can save, invest, attack debt, build safety nets. When you don't, everything just feels like a scramble. And where most people get tripped up is thinking cash flow is just about earning more. But money isn't just the amount, it's about the management. You can make 80K a year and be broke, or make, 40K and be thriving. The difference is awareness, structure, and consistency. That's why automating your money is such a game changer. The second your paycheck hits, your bills, savings, and investments should already know where to go. When you remove emotion from money, you make better decisions. And here's the big insight: cash flow isn't about restriction, it's about clarity. When you see where your money is going, you gain control. You gain that power, and that power fuels everything else we're about to talk about.
And once that's dialed in, cash flow becomes the engine behind your wealth. Think of it like a business. A business with bad cash flow can't grow. Doesn't matter how great the revenue is, but a business with steady and predictable cash flow can take on opportunities, invest in growth, and weather storms. Your personal finances work the same exact way. If you've ever wondered how some people seem put together financially, it's almost always because they have a positive cash flow system supporting their decisions. And here's the cool part: cash flow doesn't have to be complicated. Start by tracking where every dollar goes for just 30 days. Identify the leaks, all the subscriptions you forgot about, the overspending in specific categories, your impulse buys, shopping, Chipotle. Plug the leaks, automate the essentials, and suddenly you have money left over to build with. Cash flow is the foundation. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, but it's the reason wealthy people become wealthy and stay wealthy. Now let's shift into the second pillar, which is protection. And quite honestly, almost everyone overlooks this in their 20s. Protection is everything that keeps your progress from being wiped out. It's the armor around your financial life. You could be doing everything right: cash flow, investments, but one accident, one medical issue, one major unexpected event can erase years of hard work. And protection starts with the emergency fund, but it goes way beyond that. And honestly, this is the part that young adults tend to skip because it just feels outright boring. But this is the armor that keeps your whole financial life from falling apart. You've got the basics, health insurance, home and auto insurance, renter insurance. These aren't luxuries, they're shields. They're what prevent a small accident from turning into a five-figure bill or a lawsuit that wrecks everything you've built.
And then there's life insurance, which is probably the most misunderstood piece of protection. People hear life insurance and think it's only for married people or parents. But starting early is one of the smartest money moves you can make. And here's why. When you're young and healthy, life insurance is incredibly inexpensive. I'm talking the cost of one takeout meal a month. A healthy 20 or 30-year-old can usually lock into, a 20 to 30-year term policy for pennies on the dollar compared to someone who waits till they're in their 40s.
And remember, life insurance isn't about protecting, dependents, though that's important. It's also about locking in your insurability while your health is good. You never know what life brings, and once your health changes, your ability to get coverage can change with it. Buying young isn't just smart, it's strategic. You're ensuring your future ability to qualify and keeping premiums low for, decades to come.
Yeah. And Chris, there's different types of life insurance that serve for different purposes. Term life insurance, this is your high coverage, low cost option. It's designed to, protect income, family needs during their working years. It's usually the most budget friendly and gives you most protection per dollar. And then there's permanent life insurance, other known as, custom whole lives, IULs, or cash value life insurance. This is where you build flexibility, long term benefits really come into play. Builds that cash value over time. The growth is tax deferred. You can borrow from it tax free. The death benefit is tax free. And it can act like a financial backup plan when you need access to the funds. Most people have no idea these benefits even really exist.
Yeah, life insurance can basically act like a little personal bank if you set it up correctly. I think of it like this: your savings account is for short term needs, your investments are for long term growth, but your life insurance can become this quiet little middle layer, something that grows steadily, doesn't tank with the stock market, and gives you tax free access when you really need it.
And that tax-free part is huge. The tax-free, death benefit, the loans you take against your cash value can be tax-free. The growth inside the policy, that's a tax advantage. That makes life insurance one of the most unique financial tools out there.
Yeah, it's so versatile, Soren. And a lot of people don't realize that wealthy families use life insurance as part of their long term planning, not because of the death benefit, but because it can transfer money between generations tax free. You're building protection and also building a legacy at the same time.
But at its core, protection is about this idea. One unexpected moment shouldn't erase years of hard work. Life insurance, along with health, disability, auto, and renters, creates a financial shield around your life so you can keep moving forward even when life doesn't go as planned.
And the earlier you start, the cheaper it is. The more options you have and the more financial security you build long before you ever need it. That's the power of protection, Soren.
Yeah. And when we, dive into wealth building, we're really talking about a shift in identity, going from being someone who works for money to someone who builds a system where money works for you. And that shift doesn't, happen in one big moment. It happens through hundreds of tiny consistent decisions stacked over years. Wealth isn't built the day you invest it. It's built in the years you hold that investment. And that's where most people fall off because wealth building is a long game in a world built around short attention spans. Here's the real secret, Chris. Wealth building is less about panicking and picking investments, it's more about building behavior. Once your cash flow is solid, your protection layer is in place, that's when you finally get to play offense. Now you're not just trying to survive the month, you're building your next decade.
Yeah, and break down the wealth building engine. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of how this actually works. Converting earned income and passive growth.
Your earned income it's a tool, right? Every dollar you make can go one of two directions. It disappears into lifestyle or it becomes a seed while you sleep. And that's where vehicles like this come in. 401ks and employer matches free money is literally a guaranteed 100% return. Roth IRAs, tax free growth for life, cash value life insurance, tax free growth, and long term stability. And then index funds and ETFs, broad, low cost, and consistent compounding machines. People will call these boring, but honestly, they're the backbone to almost every millionaire next door. They build because they remove complexity and maximizing consistency. Number two, compound interest, the quiet monster.
Yeah, and compound interest is interesting just because it always feels so slow until suddenly it isn't.
Exactly. That 150 to, $300 a month in your 20s, that can grow into hundreds of thousands or even over a million without even increasing your contribution. And why? Because money earns money and then that money earns more money. It's the snowball effect that never stops rolling. The earlier you start, the less you have to contribute. Time is doing the heavy lifting you can never do for yourself. Number three, dollar cost averaging, the psychological cheat code.
Yeah, most people lose money not because their investments are, really bad, but because their emotions are bad.
Yep. Wealth builders don't panic when the market drops. They understand down market equals, discount seasons. Up market equals reward seasons. Consistency is the winning strategy. You don't have to time the market. You just have to give it time in the market. Dollar cost averaging automates discipline. You put the same amount away every single month, no matter what the market's doing. It's the ultimate set it and forget it system for, emotional stability and long-term growth. Mindset is where it really comes all together.
Yeah, and mindset is where everything clicks. Wealth building isn't just technical, it's extremely emotional. Here's the mindset shift most people never make. Wealth is less about the money and more about autonomy. It's the ability to take the time off without fear, walk away from that toxic job, start something new, start a business, help families. create opportunities for others and live life without being suffocated by your own bills. Money isn't the goal, freedom is. And freedom comes from ownership. When your investments start growing, even just a few bucks, you get that hit of empowerment. You see maybe for the first time that your future doesn't have to look like your present. And that's the spark. Number 4, the true formula for wealth and why it always works.
So, Chris, when you boil it all down, the real formula is simple. Cash flow moves to protection, protection moves to consistent investing moves to time. That's the roadmap. Not hype, not get rich quick, not crypto FOMO, no stock picking, no timing the market, just simple, boring, proven, repeatable steps. Almost every wealthy person on earth has followed some form of this formula. And almost everyone who struggles is missing one of these pillars.
So think of wealth building like planting an orchard. Cash flow gives you the seeds, protection protects the soil, and wealth building is planting those seeds consistently season after season. At first, nothing happens. And then slowly you grow a tree, and then one day you're standing in the forest that you created. And that's wealth, Soren.
So today you learned the big three: cash flow, protection, and wealth building. These are the pillars of, financial confidence. Once you understand them, you put them into play. The stress starts to fall away. You stop reacting to life and start directing your own life.
Yeah, and next week we're shifting gears into a conversation that hits a little deeper. Why your future family needs you to think about money now. Whether you're single, dating, engaged, or already building a household one day at a time, your financial decisions today become the safety, stability, and opportunities your loved ones rely on tomorrow. We're talking generational impact, we're talking legacy, not in a millionaire overnight type of way, but in real life choices that protect and empower the people you care about most.
So join us next week as when we break down how thinking ahead financially isn't pressure, it's preparation. And it's one of the strongest gifts you can give your future family.
Yeah, so if you're feeling inspired by today's episode, make sure you follow, subscribe, share it with someone who's ready to elevate their finances, and tune in next week as we continue to level up your money mindset. And if you want to go deeper, feel free to shoot us a message. Keep learning the lessons life skipped one episode at a time.
And remember, on Real Talk that school forgot, life doesn't come with a syllabus, but financial literacy starts right here.